Welcome to Coffee and Tea with SCG, a podcast from the industry experts at SCG Advertising and PR. We are a full-service, women-owned agency that offers advertising, public relations, recruitment, marketing, and association management. In this season, we'll be chatting with some members of our team about their specialties. So grab your coffee and your tea, and let's brew up a good conversation.
In today's episode, we will be chatting with Tom Marguccio, our creative director at SCG Advertising and Public Relations. First question, Tom, do you prefer coffee or tea?
Coffee. I like tea, but I prefer coffee.
And how do you like your coffee?
Light and sweet, like myself.
Wonderful. On the first episode, I forgot to answer this, so I'm going to answer now. I love both, but tea is my preference now because coffee gives me a lot of anxiety, and I already have enough throughout my daily life.
Yeah,
so tea, some honey. I prefer like a chamomile, a green tea. Like that's more my vibe. Green tea if I really need the boost of energy, the antioxidants. So perfect blend for me.
Tea's great. I just prefer coffee, but tea's great.
But do you like spilling tea?
Do I like what?
Do you like spilling tea?
Well, yeah.
All right, let's get started. You've been in the advertising business for more than half a century, Tommy. How did you get started?
The route to how I got started is a podcast on its own. So I'll cut to the chase and I'll just tell you how it worked. August of 1968, I wound up with a job at the S. Klein department stores in their advertising production department. It was a basic, entry-level position. But I, was good because I learned about, I had to work with the art department, I had to work with the copy people, I had to make sure ads were back and forth. So I started to learn the process. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a creative guy, but I didn't have a portfolio. So I was happy to get this job. And I made friends with a wonderful woman named Lucille. She was the copy chief. And so I would talk to her, and she would fill my head with these great stories about advertising, because she worked for agencies for years before she worked at S. Klein. And she would just tell me about when they would work for these pitches, how many hours they would work, but then how they would celebrate if they got the account. And it was just everything I thought advertising was going to be, so I was thrilled. One day I walk into Lucille, as I did all the time, to pick up some copy, and she looks at me and she says, "Tom, I have a question for you." I said, "What's that, Lucille?" She says, "How would you like to work for a real advertising agency?" And I said, "Are you kidding me?" "Wow, what do I have to do? Who do I have to kill? I'll do anything you want." And she said, no. She said, "I have a friend, Claire Bauman, who runs a small fashion ad agency, Claire Advertising, and they're looking for a production trainee and et cetera." Again, I wanted to be a creative guy, but I didn't have a portfolio. But what I really wanted was to at least get in. I wanted to get into real advertising. So I went over, I met my future boss, Chuck Sonera. He interviewed me, he hired me. Next thing you know, I'm working at Claire Advertising. And it was just, I was there for 6 years. And this woman, Mensa genius, legitimate Mensa genius, was a brilliant advertising person, great account exec, good creative mind, and just a wonderful, wonderful woman. And I learned a lot in my 6 years there. It was a great experience. How lucky was I to have that for a first job? Yeah, right. Second job, but really first job,
And a nice stepping stone into what you're doing now. So it gave you a nice platform to start on.
Absolutely, because there were the creative people there were great, and they knew that I was 20. I hadn't even been to college yet. I was 20, so I was a kid, and they knew how I wanted to be creative, so they helped me. I would go in the back at lunchtime and read all the trades and work on ideas, and I would run into the creative. "Milton, I did this idea. Do you like this?" And they were great. They taught me, and they were just, it was just a really wonderful 6 years. Wonderful 6 years.
That's amazing. So since your first job or second job, we're not counting, what is the biggest change you've seen in the ad industry?
Well, for me, because I've been around so long, the biggest change was when I started. Don't forget, no computers, no phones, no faxes, no nothing. We did concepts on tissue pads, and then we typed copy on a typewriter. And then in order to produce the ad, you had to take that copy and send it to a place called a typographer who would set the type for you, because everything was built on illustration board. It was what we called a mechanical, where you would put the headline and the copy and the photo and everything else. So it was an incredibly, I think about it now, it was a long process. Somehow we did it quickly, but it was a long process because you had to do a rough tissue layout. And once the creative director decided that was okay, then it went to the comp artist who really comped it up nicely to show the client. And then you type the copy. And then when everything was approved, you had to send it out. You had to make this mechanical, get the mechanical approved. You had to send that out, and you weren't done because you had to make engravings, 4-color engravings for magazines, which were 4 copper plates with red, yellow, blue, and black plates, because it was 4-color process printing. And it was just an incredible process. So for me to go from that, which is what I grew up with, what I was used to all of a sudden in 1990, when I first came to what was Cherenson, now SCG, was incredible, because we had these little Macintosh computers. And wait a minute, I can see the headline on the computer, and I can change the typeface to see which font I like better, and it was just an amazing thing. So for me, that was probably the biggest change, going from that simple paper and here it is and you got to do this, to this incredible computer revolution. Was just unbelievable for me. I mean, past that has been the change from all the traditional media to the digital, etc. But even larger to me, more impactful to me, was that change from the way we used to do things to being able to do everything on this computer and just see things so quickly. It was just incredible.
Yeah,
just
and
incredible.
It's faster, and a lot of the products that we use now for that type of work, like Adobe Premiere, InDesign, how much more efficiently did it, and how much faster did it make your work?
Well, what's funny, because I told Lee Cherenson, God love him, our boss years ago, he was in a hurry for a concept. And I said, all right, Lee, but I got to work out the concept. And he said, but Tommy, you have a computer. We were laughing. And I said, yeah, but I still have to do the concept. So what's great is now, and I still concept the same way I did years ago, pad, I'll write some stuff down, then I go right to the computer and blah, blah, blah. You still need the time to concept it and write it.
Brainstorm.
Exactly. You need that time to do it, which sometimes like that, sometimes it takes a little longer. So then what happens is you still do that, but then when you get onto the computer, it's just so much faster. And again, the more you do it, the more you work on it, the better you become using that software. So it does fly. And again, I just love working with the computer because it gives you so many options. I mean, quickly, again, once I have the concept down, then I can see, maybe I can make that photo a little smaller, and I can see, and then if I don't like it, Command Z, and it's back to where it was. So there's a lot of that I really like, but the concepting process still takes time.
Yeah, I mean, you need time to come up with these great ideas, which, following up on that, during the past 50 odd or some years as you've been in the ad industry, you've come up with a lot of ideas. Where do they come from, and how do you know if they're good?
There's certain things. I believe some people are born to do certain things, and there's no doubt in my mind I was born to do this because I wanted to do it since I was a kid in the 8th grade, So that's just a gift that I've been blessed with, and I think all creative people are just blessed with that gift. The process is you get creative brief from the account team with all the information about whatever it is you're writing the ad for, and its demographics and its target audience and what's the purpose of this ad, what are we doing, and then you sit there and, as I said, you concept, right? So you come up with concepts and everything else. I just know it's good when I'm writing and I'm either struggling or I get it right away and I go, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's good. But there's 3 parts to it being good, So I know it's good, and I always tell my clients, I've been telling my clients for 50 odd years, I'll never give you a concept I don't like. I'll never give you a concept I'm settling for. It doesn't mean you have to like it, and I understand that, but you'll never get anything from me that's not good. So my first attempt, I know it's good when it's done. Okay, boom. Then I know it's good when the client likes it and the client gets it. Then, all right, that's good. That's good number 2. Number 3, and the best good, is when the ad gets response. When the client says, hey, oh man, we've had so much reaction to this or that or whatever, we increase sales, we increase leads, we increase whatever the deal is, then you know it's good. But just that initial doing it, I think it's also from years of experience too. You can just, because don't forget, part of my job is I've got to look at creative, not only that I do, but that other people do, right? So I have to be a good judge of creative. I have to know what good creative is. So all of that is part of the process. And it's just a gift, luck, whatever you want to call it, that I just figure out this is pretty good,
Yeah, and I think it's just really important in general is that if you don't feel confident in that piece, there's no reason to give it to a client.
And I couldn't sell it. I could not sell it to a client if I didn't believe in it, because it's just not right. So yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I have to really, really like and believe in what I'm showing, or I couldn't do that. I couldn't sell it. No way.
No way, Jose. So, Tommy, we know that you love telling stories. What is your most amusing story that has ever happened in your career in advertising?
Amusing? Oh, this geez, there's so many, Not so much amusing, but interesting. While at Claire Advertising, we did some work for Chanel. And one of the jobs we did for them was a brochure. It was about 4 inches by 3 inches, small, that they were going to put, I think, in perfume bottles or handbags or whatever. It was all just about Chanel. And what we did was, the way it was designed by the creative director, he wanted the front and back cover to be full bleed silver metallic with the Chanel logo popping out in white.
That's interesting.
Silver metallic ink, it just looked gorgeous. But this was in like 1970. And in 1970, printing with any kind of metallic inks was a little difficult. Even then, it was just like in its infancy. So we have this job for Chanel, and here's the big day. The printer's on his way. He's going to deliver these 5,000 Chanel brochures. So they arrive in the office, and I'm standing there, me and Claire, the boss, Dolores, her assistant, Charles, the production manager who's responsible for the quality.
Everyone.
And we're all standing there, and boxes get open. We got to see this. And so printers are notorious, by the way, for putting the best examples, the best samples on top of the box. So, first couple came out, they were beautiful, but then all of a sudden, pulling out samples that have all these, what we call hickeys, all these white dots, because the printing press picks up the fibers from the paper, mixes with the water, and instead of getting a full bleed, you get dots all over the place. Terrible.
Quite a word for that.
Yeah, that's an industry word, by the way. It's an industry word.
But it makes sense, though.
But it makes sense.
So you have all these dots all over, and then what happens next?
Then what happens next is people start having heart attacks because what the hell is this? We got 5,000. So now we're looking through them.
Oh, no.
And just a quick look, Claire, my boss, can tell there's too many of these with these hickeys on them and not enough good ones. So she looked at me and she said, Tommy, I need you to do me a favor. I said, whatever you want, Claire. What do you need? She goes, well, you've been here a couple of years now, and in that time I can tell you got a pretty good eye for printing around. Oh, thank you, Claire. And I got the compliment because then here comes the news, And I said, well, what do you need? She says, well, I need you to take all 5,000 of these brochures, and I need you to go through them. I need you to give me whatever you think are absolutely good that we can give to the client. I need to make another pile that these maybe these will work, and another pile that these are going in the garbage. I said, great. So when do you need me to do this? She says, tonight. And this was 4:00. So I said, all right, boss, whatever you need, So I went in the conference room and started going through all these brochures. I ordered Chinese food at 7:00.
There you go.
Ran down and got coffee at midnight, and I finished at 5:00 in the morning. I had the conference room all full of boxes of these are good, these are maybe, and these are, we throw them out. So finally at 5:00 in the morning, I went in the back, and we had a sofa in the back, so I went in the back and I passed out. Claire woke me up at 8:00 with coffee and a buttered roll. She says, what did you do? And I said, well, I was here all night doing this. And we went into the conference room, and I said, I'm sorry about the mess. And she says, no, it's okay. But what she said was, this is great. And I learned from her a very, very important thing that all advertising people should do, and that's never lie to the client. She had called Chanel right away and said, we had a problem with the printing, but here's what we're doing. And she said, I have one of my production men looking through everything. I should have anywhere from several hundred to maybe 1,000 or so that I can give you tomorrow. And I already spoken to the printer, already getting it taken care of. He's going to reprint them, et cetera, et cetera. And because she didn't lie, Chanel was thrilled.
Perfect. They
were happy that she was honest. They were happy that we were doing this. So Claire was thrilled when, she came in and I had done all this. And then she said to me, you worked enough, go home, take the rest of the day off. Gee, thanks. So I did. And then great. And again, Chanel was happy. The reprint came in, and luckily that batch was great. So everything was fine. And then 2 weeks later, she gave me a trip to Jamaica as a reward. Yeah, we got a gift from Jamaica Tourist Board because we used a photo of Jamaica in an ad for another one of our clients, and they were so thrilled.
That's crazy.
They gave us a week in Jamaica, and Claire gave it to me. And I said to her, I said, this is great, but I can't afford the airline. I can't. I was 20, And she said, Tommy, you think I'm not going to give you the airline tickets too? I mean, she was just wonderful, So she did that. Paid my college, bought me speakers because she knew I was an audiophile. She was tough, and she didn't fire me when I made a $30,000 mistake. So told me. I never made that mistake again. But in the early 70s, $30,000 was a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money today, but it was really a lot of money then. And she didn't fire me. She was just a wonderful, brilliant woman who taught me so much. Everything she taught, I'm still using to this day. She taught me that much. So
I think the biggest lesson you can learn from the story is offer a resolution to the client, and don't lie to them. Don't ever lie to them.
Never. Just listen. Problems happen. This is what happened, and this is what we're doing to resolve the problem. And that's exactly what Claire did. There wasn't even a moment's hesitation. It was, I got to call the client. Let me tell him what's going on. Boom.
I mean, SCG stands for Success Communications Group, and the one thing that we're very good at is communicating with our clients when we need something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's important. I stress it all the time. It's key. It's as important as anything else we do is communicate to the client. So
absolutely, because if not, where would we be? Truly, we wouldn't be anywhere if we ghosted them. So
you're out of business.
You're out of business. There you go. So our last question to close out the podcast is, Tommy, what are some of your hobbies and passions outside of work? And if they intertwine with your work, elaborate on that and just let us know. Just let the class know.
Well, my two faves, I love music and I love sports, especially baseballs, and I do both of them. I was a drummer for years when I was younger. I have two sons, both of them are professional drummers, so it's wonderful because I go to their gigs, see their shows, and it's great because it keeps me on top of things musically. So that does help with work, with videos or radio where you have to put music under. That certainly helps, knowing what's going on, trends, music, who's this, who's that. But I also just love it because, I love music, but it's my kids, so I like to go see them. So that's that. And then baseball being my other love. I've been involved in Little League for over 40 years, and about 17 years ago, I co-founded a Challenger League for Little League, which is Challenger's Little League's initiative.
Oh, that's cute.
To teach baseball to children with mental and physical capability, handicaps, I should say. And we've been doing that for 17 years. Every Sunday from April to June, middle of June, we go out and we play baseball with our kids. Most of them they have autism. Some have physical problems, but their parents are the most wonderful people in the world you've ever met. And it's just like the greatest thing I've ever done in my life because these people are so nice and they're so grateful. And I'm going, you're thanking me, I should be thanking you. This is terrific. And we have fun. I announce the game, so we get to see the kids, and I tease them and I tease the parents. We just have a wonderful time. And so that's kept me going too, because I did my regular, Little League coaching, and I was a league president, and I was a district administrator, and I did all that stuff. But this Challengers, without a doubt, the most rewarding thing I've done. So that's what I do.
And I'm guessing, like we said about music, knowing the levels and the volume and how to have a cathartic reaction when you're watching an ad or something, I'm sure is very important in what you do. And also in something like what we do with the podcast, which, fun fact, guys, Tommy does the intro and the outro for us. So you'll find
that's me.
Very, very familiar. But even doing stuff like that, I see what you're saying, because with podcasting, it's the same thing. I'm trying to find the levels that work to really convey what we're trying to get across, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, a lot of time is trial and error, especially if like years ago, if I'm in a studio doing a radio commercial and we want music under, well, you have to pick the right music that goes with the flow of the spot. So if it's a very serious spot, the music should kind of carry that in a serious way. If it's if you're having fun with the spot, there should be something, whatever. But it's not only the music, it's exactly what you said. It's finding that level, because you can't have the voiceover be drowned out by the music.
Exactly.
Where he's now, and I'm talking like this, and the music is playing like, you can't have that. And by the same token, you can't have the music too low, or you're not going to hear it. You're not going to get it. It's not going to work. So that's also important too, is to have your ears. You have good ears that you learn. And again, that's all trial and error. And it's all experience. It's all that you learned, and you listen and you see, and you kind of learn what levels to do, because everyone's different. Every single spot you do, podcast you do, commercial you do, it's all different from the respect of the voiceover artist and how loud or how soft he or she recorded, and then you got to make everything work with that. So a good audio engineer is very valuable.
Yeah, I think it's valuable to really take the things that you not only do in work, but the things that you do outside of work, and find a way to continually educate yourself in those things. And like you said, like drumming, or for me, like I played the guitar, I sing. So like my ears are trained to be listening to certain things like reverb and stuff like that. And again, when you're putting together an ad, you want to make sure that all those things come together, video ad or audio ad. And so, yeah, I think all of those things are super important. And I also feel like I learned so much from you in this
good
conversation.
Thanks. I'm glad.
So,
well, you never stop learning.
You never stop learning.
I'm still learning every day. If you close your mind and think, well, I've learned everything I need to know about this, you're wrong.
Exactly.
You have to keep that willingness to learn.
Which is why I think like we provide such great things to our clients, because we continually learn and grow, and we implement new things. And again, like podcasting is such a new thing, and we started to do that for our clients and really be able to showcase that like this is a tool that you can use to really speak to people and get your message out there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So so thank you so much for coming on the podcast,
it was great.
Tom.
I love it. Yeah.
And we will see you guys next time on the Coffee and Tea with SEG podcast.
Don't forget to subscribe whenever you listen to your podcast so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review. Until next time, keep those mugs filled and those ideas flowing.